The two devices that I chose to evaluate is number one is wearable technology, in particular the Fitbit device. Focusing on physical education here, the Fitbit uses Bluetooth technology to measure certain things like fitness goals, activities, exercises, your daily consumption of food, and the amount of sleep you give in a night. This Bluetooth tool is very helpful. It helps track students' progress on a daily goals. It'll motivate them to achieve their daily goals and have lifetime engagement of physical activity. The average cost of the Fitbit device is usually around $40 to $100 per device, so it gets up there pretty pricey. How I would use this tool in a classroom is it's very similar to a watch. You just strap it on your wrist and you kind of go out there and be active. The technology is very simple to use. It tracks everything that you want to track between heart rate, steps, flights of stairs, anything you can imagine. It tracks that for you right there. So basically it's up to the student in being active and just seeing after they're active on what kind of goals they hit for that day. The benefit to this device and kind of one of the main goals of physical education is to promote a lifelong journey of being active. Knowing that not everyone is as passionate of working out or being active as athletes or whatever it is. This kind of creates a competitive atmosphere where students can achieve goals on their own through whatever measures it is. If it's jogging or playing kickball or whatever it is, they just have to find a way to get their daily fitness goals in. And overall, it's going to promote that healthy measure. The second tool that I used was the Apple iPad, excuse me. The iPad or tablets in general, they're a mobile operating computer system that can be utilized by all ages. It can range from shooting videos, taking pictures, playing music, installing apps, you name it, it has it. As an instructor, you only need one of these devices, and it can make a huge difference in the classroom. It can eliminate things like clipboards, stopwatches, whiteboards, projectors. It's all in the iPad. It can be used for those equipment needs. The average cost for an iPad, depending on what you want, is going to be between $200 and $500, which sounds expensive right now, but if you compare it to the yearly cost of just a normal physical education class, you're looking around $1,200. So right there, you're cutting costs in over half. So ways that I would implement the iPod or the iPad would be through certain apps, and some cool apps that I really found was, number one, there's an app called School. This is a way for parents, teachers, and students to kind of all be on the same page. It'll mark, the attendance records. They'll have notes. They'll have your grades. There's a communication line between the parents and teachers where they can ask questions, or if my kid's not doing this, what does he need to improve on? One thing that I'll show in a little bit is the Huddle app. Basically, it's a slow motion technology camera where it's going to capture every action that your student does. You can break it down frame by frame, and we'll dive a little bit more into that. Other ones are Sporkit, and it's just going to give you a random workout between 5 to an hour long, and it gives you that difference every day where you're not doing the same repetitive movements and it gets a little boring. And then TeamShake, and what that is, it's just an app that is going to randomly decide teams, so there's no bias or whatever it is, and it also has the ability to create strategies to kind of promote involvement in the classroom. So going on to the iPad, I talked a little bit in my lesson plan about how I'd implement this into the lesson. And number one, the learning outcomes is more focused on like a weight training class, because I felt like this was the best technology to use it for. In a learning outcome, by the state of Kansas is right here. It's each student needs to demonstrate the competency and motor skills, movement patterns that are needed for a variety of physical activities. So going on there, I use this app all the time, but it's more suited. I have baseball videos here, but if you can imagine, the weightlifting videos here. But I can show you right here, the app right here. It has your video right there. You just push play, and it can go all through. Some cool features on that is you can slow it down half the speed all the way to the 1/8 of speed, and if that's still too fast for your students to see, you can rewind and fast forward as slow as you want at the bottom. But one cool feature here as we go further is the measuring tool. So up here, you can draw all kinds of certain lines. Say you're doing a squat and you want to make sure that student wants to go down to 90 degrees. You can make a marker here and you can show exactly where they're going. And if they still don't believe you, they have a measuring tool right here that gets all the way to 90 degrees or whatever degrees they're getting to. And there's all kinds of cool apps or cool features in this apps. Another one where if you want to go ahead and buy the upgraded version, which I highly recommend, is you can compare videos on certain students or even certain athletes through this app, and it can give you a side-by-side comparison. So say, hey, you have a weightlifter that you really look up to and he gets this low, you can pull up a video on that guy and compare the student and the weightlifter side by side. And then last is, I didn't have an opportunity to teach this in a lesson, but what I expect from this technology is huge gains. Number one, in a weightlifting class, you want to promote safety. And showing form is a better measure of promoting that safety and making sure they have proper form and they're in the weight room being safe and all that kind of stuff. So that's probably the biggest gain that you can use from this technology is the students are going to see exactly what they're doing on the screen, and sometimes they don't believe you and hey, you're not getting low enough or whatever it is. A challenge for both of these technologies is convincing the school that it's a measure that you need to take. Physical education is kind of in the Stone Age when it comes to technology, and a lot of the measures that they use have been used for years and years, and it doesn't look to change. And the implementing technology into a physical education class would be huge for strides of motor gains and whatever your learning outcomes are. Thanks, guys.